What is going on, Pacer Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Bring the Juice Pacers. Guys, wanted to chat for a second because there's two players that I think we need to have a discussion about when it comes to their performance with this team and how it's going so far. So, first player I wanted to discuss is Obi Toppin. Definitely feels very odd with how Obi Toppin is playing right now. Um, I will say that I don't think that there's a particularly, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a dire situation right now for Obi Toppin because he has played this season and his numbers are basically up from pretty much everything that he has been since entering the league. He's getting about 5 to 7 more minutes per game on average, and currently he's had 2 points more per average game than he was at his best with the Knicks. Shooting wise, he's the best that he's been in his entire career. All of his numbers from an offensive metric are up right now in his first season with the Indiana Pacers. And I think that a lot of people, especially even early on, I would say he's had a lot of pretty good games. So I'm not willing to, sit here and suggest that Obi Toppin is necessarily in a very bad situation because this is still a young player who's trying to figure out his role, particularly off the bench right now, and is trying to just get himself back into the kind of dynamic player that he is. But right now, what I have been seeing over the last couple of games, especially recently in his last 5 games, really just in the last 10 games, he has failed to reach double digits 5 times. I'll give him credit. In the Suns game, he had a phenomenal game against the Suns. He was one of the bright spots of that game. The game before that, the 76ers in which they played, he had himself a solid game in that one. So, I'm not sitting here and suggesting that Obi Toppin is completely lost here. But over the last couple of games that he's had, you look at, he's lost some of his minutes as of recently. And I think that there's a reason for that. And I mainly think when it comes to the minutes, he had 11 minutes against the Trailblazers, only 17 against the Nuggets, 17 against the Grizzlies. He had 18 against the Kings a few days ago and had 11 minutes against the Hornets in the previous game in which he had no points. And it's the second game within the last 10 games where he failed to score a single bucket. And especially his plus minus over the last few games, especially against the Kings and the Hornets, he was the worst player from a plus minus perspective on the entire team. And I just feel like recently the scoring has not been as good for Obi Toppin this year as it was to start the year. I feel like he had a good stretch there at the end of January where he was really starting to rack it in. And now I feel like ever since February has started, and even slightly at times before that in the middle of January, he has just not been on top of it. At least at the start of February, he has not played very great basketball. Against the Knicks, he did have 12, 3, and 2 with a steal and 2 blocks, but only shot 40% from the field. Against the Kings, he had 6, 4, and 1 with a steal and a block, but also only shot 33% from the field. And then obviously, like I said, against the Hornets, failed to score a point, only had a rebound and 2 assists, no steals, no blocks, was basically he was a detriment to the team in that game. So I feel like he has kind of lost his confidence a little bit, and I hope that the Pacers can figure that out for him because, this is a electric player, and at the age of 25, he's still trying to figure his way out. He's only been in his 4th season in the NBA, but it definitely has me a little bit concerned with Obi Toppin and his lack of production from an offensive scoring percentage as of recently. But that's not the biggest one that we were going to want to talk about. Cody and I have been mentioning this guy for really the last week and a half, and it has been very much adamant that things are not headed in the right direction for this player, and that is Buddy Hield. It's ironic that while Obi Toppin's numbers, while they haven't been amazing this year, they've all gone up. But every metric, almost every metric for Buddy Hield this year has gone down. This is his third season, guys, with the Indiana Pacers. And it's the lowest amount of minutes that he has had. It's the lowest amount of points. His worst shooting percentage. It's his second worst 3-point percentage shooting, but he's shooting a full 4% worse from 3-point range this year than what he was last year for the Pacers. The rebound numbers are down. The assist numbers are down. The defensive metrics are all way down. It's been getting to the point where, especially recently for Buddy Hield, he has just been losing a lot of his minutes, and it is reflected in his game. Just in really the last 8 games, he's gone 22, 26, 14, 19, 36, 28, 28, 12 when it comes to the minutes. He lost a couple minutes against the Nuggets and Sixers. He only had 3 points against the Nuggets, and against the 76ers, again, only had 11. And then the Suns, he lost a lot of his minutes starting at this point. He lost a lot of his minutes against the Suns, only had 2 points. And in 19 minutes against the Grizzlies, only had 3 points on 12.5% shooting. He only made 1 shot. And then the Pacers had no choice but to put him back into the starting role when, Halliburton was going out and you had these different rotations of guys because guys kept getting hurt. And then in 36 minutes against the Celtics, had 12 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals. So, that really, you'd like to see more offensive production given the fact that he played 36 minutes, but nevertheless, it was an efficient day. But then the next game shot with the Knicks, 28 minutes, had 3 points, and shot 1 of 8, 1 of 7 from 3-point range. And then the Kings had the same amount of minutes the next week, 17, 4, and 4 with 2 steals, went back up. And then in this last game against the Hornets, again, played 12 minutes, had 3 points, and only shot 25% from the field, only had 1 rebound. And he was visibly frustrated with Rick Carlisle substituting him out during the last game against the Hornets. Mainly the point is here, guys, is we all know Buddy Hield has never been a 20-plus point guy. The only time ever in his career that he's ever averaged over 20 points a game was when he was with the Kings, and it was the only time he ever played in all 82 games where he was averaging 32 minutes a game. But right now, what the problem is with Buddy Hield is it's the lack of consistency from Buddy Hield right now. His defensive numbers have not been great, and we've seen the lack of effort at times from Buddy Hield. So if you're not going to play great defense, that we want you to be efficient offensively, there's definitely been times even in this stretch where he's been efficient from shooting. I mean, he shot over 60% or over 55% at the end of January. I think it was at least 4 times, but those same number of games, there's times where Hield will only make 1 shot in a game. It's not that he's not trying to shoot. There's been multiple times where he goes 1 of 8. It's starting to become a pattern here for Buddy Hield. It's not a good trend. It's not a good trend, and it's safe to say that there might be something going on, and the Pacers might be trying to work their way out of this with Buddy Hield, because I mean, look, guys, I love Buddy Hield, and I think that when he's on, and he can definitely be a sniper for you. And he is a guy that can put up some good points and be that offensive 3-point shooter that you need at times. But like I said, I mean, this is some of the worst numbers that we have seen from Buddy Hield since mainly his rookie year. I mean, this is the fewest amount of minutes he has had in a season since his 2017 season with the Sacramento Kings, only his third season at that point. And when it comes to the points, this is the first time, this is the lowest amount of points he has had per average in a game since his rookie year. It's been his worst, like I said, worst field goal percentage shooting since being a Pacer, second worst in 3-point percentage. And it's actually been one of his more, he's been on a slightly downward trend from shooting the ball wise, besides last year where he shot 42.5%, which is very close to his career high, but it's definitely been on a slight downward trend. And overall, the rebound numbers and assist numbers, stuff that's been at a low since many, many years ago. So Buddy Hield, from an overall production standpoint, is not performing at the same rate that we normally are accustomed to seeing him do. And it makes you wonder if the Pacers are going to try and trade him out of here at some point. I have heard, I don't remember where I saw this on Twitter, but I don't know if it was Woj or not. But apparently people have been saying that, the Pacers are really trying for Andrew Wiggins. But we'll end up seeing what happens there with him. But let us know your thoughts, guys. What do you guys think of this? Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And as always, go Pacers.